The design schemas, of course, exist at various levels. You know, a line can be a design schema, a phrase that can have a design schema, or it can be a larger level, and they also exist with different degrees of bindingness, prescriptiveness, you know, but they leave, and they can of course be often realized in different modes themselves, as we've just seen. The same basic schema, the same tripartite schema can be done in the lyrics as well as in the music. Now we come to the next thing, production. The schema is not all. What matters now is that, you know, in production is the process which gives material form to the design, and which uses particular material, physical phenomena. It might use the voice, or it might use a piano, or it might use anything that can make sound to it. It might use ink and paper. It gives material form to the design. And then, of course, in music, you know, another potential element of creativity comes up in there. And as a matter, and distribution, finally, and I'll come to the creativity soon, is what we saw as another layer that exists, which is, you know, where technical recoding occurs. A technical recoding occurs that's there. It was, you know, to record, preserve, or distribute it. But, of course, what happens here is that particularly in contemporary music, that something which might have been designed for distribution very soon becomes part of production. And we heard that yesterday in the case of rap, you know, that things that were originally thought of just to record things become part of the actual production of the making of the music. And the gramophone, of course, is a fantastic example of that. So it's the mixing console and many other things that were originally designed for other reasons. So I need to acknowledge something about this schema, because it's been inspired by Irving Goffman's theory of footing. And Irving Goffman has talked about what actually happens in semiotic production, and on the one hand you have and what we have been doing is to sort of combine what Goffman is talking about with what people are doing, in concretely doing in the case of talk, with the structures of the semiotic resources that they use, and that in linguistics, for example, being taking different forms such as stratification, schemas, Jamslev, and others. So discourse is a semiotic resource that is used by what Goffman calls the principal, the person or institution, as he said, whose position is established and whose beliefs are being taught. So in a love song, there's the discourse or the belief of romantic love. And design is the semiotic resource used by what Goffman calls the author, the person who selects the sentiments, as he said, that are being expressed and the words in which they are being encoded. So Billie Holiday might be an example of somebody who uses, actually I've only talked a quarter of an hour, but, you know, I started at 25 to, yeah. So design is a semiotic resource which, for example, then is used by an author drawing on the semiotic resource design schema to create, to put the romantic love discourse in the schema of a blues communication. Production, says Goffman, is the semiotic resource used by the animator, the sounding box in use. So there's Billie Holiday's voice, you know, and of course, or somebody else might be performing the song. And what is not always noticed, that Goffman in fact also briefly refers to the technical category when he says that animators sometimes share this physical function with a loudspeaker system or telephone. So I want now to talk about creativity and design. So at the level of design, as I see it, you know, creating new semiotic resources therefore means creating new design schemas. Now, most jazz performances are based on existing designs, and in fact, it is a sign, you know, it is a sign of pride. It's a pride for jazz musicians to do new interpretations of old schemas. That's one of the great sources of creativity that all jazz musicians come back to time and time again. But nevertheless, occasionally there are musicians that create new schemas. Now, a lot of these chord schemas that jazz musicians improvise on have, I won't go into technicalities, but they have very predictable progressions. They might go. You hear that it's very predictable. It has existed for as long as functional tonal music has existed. You can play Bach with it. In the early 60s, thought, why is it always the same? Why does it always go 2-5-7 and so on? Can't I improvise? Then I go in huge jumps of fifth. So he wrote a tune called Giant Steps. And here, the chords of that are, even when you don't know the technicals, you may hear that it's a little bit less predictable. Resolving, they aspire, they go up and up and up. Turned out to be a tune that was fairly hard to improvise on. The first recording of it on Coltrane's record, Giant Steps, the otherwise splendid pianist Tommy Flanagan was actually floundering and didn't make much of it, unlike Coltrane. So I can't really think out of it, but I'll nevertheless let you hear what it might sound like. When he changed the actual schema. But that's not all there's to it. I mean, you can also, lost my piece of paper.